Hey guys, it's Dr. Justin Marcagiani. Welcome to the Beyond Wellness Radio podcast. Feel free and head over to justinhealth.com. We have all of our podcast transcriptions there, as well as video series on different health topics ranging from thyroid to hormones, ketogenic diets, and gluten. While you're there, you can also schedule a consult with myself, Dr. J, and or our colleagues and staff to help dive into any pressing health issues you really want to get to the root cause on. Again, if you enjoy the podcast, feel free and share the information with friends or family, and enjoy the show. Hey guys, Dr. Justin Marcagiani and Evan Brand here. Today we're going to be talking about sleep and how to solve it from a functional medicine root cause perspective. Evan, my man, how you doing, brother?
Oh, doing great. I had terrible sleep for a long time, and luckily my sleep is much better. Do you remember, this was probably, give or take 4 years ago now, I was just now figuring out that binders can help improve your sleep. And I'm assuming the mechanism is that mold and other toxins affect melatonin production. So many people, when they think of sleep issues, they automatically get thrown on some sort of Ambien or other pharmaceutical. And that's really not root cause, obviously. And it's going to dig you further and further in a hole, especially if you're using something like a benzo, like a Xanax to knock yourself out, because now you're going to downregulate GABA. And if you come off of that stuff, you're going to have all sorts of anxiety, maybe even panic attacks, and the insomnia is likely not going to go away. So binders for me are an awesome, not common sense remedy to use, because you think about, well, maybe I just need more magnesium. Maybe I just need more passion flower and calming nutrients, which is fine. If you want to do calming support, you can. If you have a cortisol problem and we need herbs to lower cortisol in the evening to help you sleep, that's one thing. But toxicity to me is the most common thing that we all have in common. Not all of us have elevated cortisol at night, but all of us has some level of toxicity, whether that be chemicals, pesticides, or mycotoxins. Those are probably the biggest ones that we're referring to. And these change your gut bacteria. These change your nutrient absorption. These affect your brain and affect melatonin.
Yeah, really good points. I mean, I looked at the history like this. So if someone's really kind of wired going into bedtime, then I would look at maybe those toxins are impacting melatonin. Sometimes it's the fact that your liver and gallbladder are dumping toxins around 1 to 3 a.m. and maybe that could be waking you up. Now, if that's the fact, that's where binders I think would be helpful, because you'd have binders in your intestinal tract. You take them on an empty stomach before bed. They're sitting there waiting to sequester and bind up that toxin. So when that toxin gets produced or stimulated by the liver, gallbladder, dumped into the intestinal tract, those binders are there to grab it, sequester it, and prevent it from going systemically in the body and creating some kind of a cortisol stress response due to the inflammation it's causing. So I think you have to look at it. Is it a waking up issue in the middle of the night? Then I'm definitely leaning on some kind of a binder support, bentonite clay, zeolite, fulvic minerals, citrus pectin, activated charcoal. So we'll look at it like that. And if it's a stimulation standpoint, because your nervous system is overstimulated, then yeah, we look at more calming agents to relax that sympathetic nervous system stress response.
And it's hard. I mean, in the modern world, let's say if you're a real estate agent, for example, people may expect you to text them or talk to them 9, 10 o'clock at night. Sometimes the stress of your career is keeping you up at night too. And that's a huge concern with people now, whether it's remote work and they're expected to work late hours, or maybe they don't separate work and home life. That's one thing you and I think have done pretty good at, is trying to separate work and our home life. And so, it's like, when you're off, you're off. You're with the kids, you're doing your own thing. And a lot of people, they're bringing their tablets to bed, they're bringing their laptops to bed, and they're bringing this work mode of thinking into their bedroom, for example. I think not only is that going to kill your sex life, but it's going to kill your sleep quality as well. So I would encourage you, if you are, say, someone who does work a lot from home, I would encourage you to try to have a separate section where you're going to do your work. Don't mix where you sleep with where you work. I think just from a brain chemistry perspective, if you're programming your body every time you go in that room, stress is going to get intense because you got to open up this inbox with 4,000 emails in it. You're going to lose your mind. And then you want to try to sleep in that same room. I just don't think it's going to work. So sometimes the lifestyle setup is important.
Yeah, I mean, the best thing you can do is if you have an iPhone, for instance, you'll probably do it on an Android, but go to your do not disturb setting, go to your settings, and then you can literally go down here and just say, 8 p.m., have it do not disturb. So if anyone calls you after 8 p.m., it's going to voicemail. So you can do little things like that, and you could allow like certain people to bypass it. Like you could have your wife or certain family members get through if it's an emergency. but you can at least create that boundary. Now, again, the healthier you are with your nervous system, the more you can adapt and the more you can break the rules, right? But just set your boundaries off with, putting your night shift on so you lower the blue light. So that's going to be stimulating. I put on glasses at night that block out blue light, and then just set yourself away at 8 p.m. No one can get you anyway. That way, all goes to voicemail.
Yep. In terms of testing, let's mention that, because if you have sleep issues, there's a few things you should look for. One could argue you could test for heavy metals, and that's fine. But the truth is, I tell most people to save their money, because a lot of the mold detox protocols and chemical detox protocols that I create, those often address heavy metals as well. And it's an extra few $100 or so to look at metals. But if you want to get the full workup, then we'll include metals. So that could be urine or stool. Some argue that hair testing is good. I used to mess with it. I don't anymore. So we'll say urine or stool for the metals. Also, gut infections. I mean, as well as anybody, that gut infections screw up your sleep. When I had parasites, my sleep was terrible. You and I are recording this like right after a full moon. So if you pay attention to the moon cycle, if you notice your children or you.
By the way, the
spouse,
harvest moon the last 2 nights were amazing.
Yeah.
You see it?
Huge.
Holy smokes.
It was beautiful.
It was insane beautiful.
It was beautiful. Now, if you are not sleeping well during full moons, you should investigate. Now, some think this is like some weird energetic medicine stuff, but it appears that bugs, parasites, pathogens, they seem to be a little more active. When my kids had gut bugs, I think they grinded their teeth more during full moons. Like if I was sitting there watching them sleep, checking on them, to me, it sounded like more grinding was happening. And I've talked to adults too at my kids' school. They're like, are y'all sleeping? Like this full moon, I can't sleep. So I think there's something to it.
Yeah. I mean, I think you can't hurt to throw on a little bit of antimicrobials if you need, or just some binders. I think those are some good things. And then make sure you're putting some kind of an adaptogen on board there. Because if you're stressed and your circadian rhythm's a little bit off due to stress, it can't hurt to be on a little bit of adaptogenic support, whether it's rhodiola, ginseng, probably more rhodiola, and ashwagandha will be probably more modulatory. Ginseng would be a little bit more stimulatory. And then Epsom salts at bed are really helpful. Magnesium sulfate gets absorbed transdermally. That's very sedating and relaxing and really increases that parasympathetic nervous system response, really chills you out. And it can't hurt to throw in some theanine too. Theanine's wonderful. Very calming and relaxing.
I love theanine. Okay, so on the testing front, look into metals. That'd be something. Look into the gut. We could run a GI map stool. Correct. Or maybe a competitor for parasites, gut inflammation, anything that could be affecting the brain. Also, organic acids, I think, is key, because we're going to look at B vitamins. So, for example, if you see someone that has low serotonin and they have low B6, well, those are the two ingredients to make melatonin. So if we see that you don't even have the precursors necessary to make your sleep hormone, obviously your sleep is going to suck. So you and I love organic acids testing. We probably run more oats than almost anybody in the world. And with these oats, we can see so much data about mold, candida, nutrients, mitochondrial function, brain chemistry. So if you have not had a recent organic acid test and you have insomnia, you got to get one done. How about hormones? I mean, you would think we should probably run some cortisol panel if insomnia is a terrible concern.
Yeah, cortisol rhythm is vitally important because cortisol has an inverse relationship between melatonin. So cortisol starts higher during the start of the day, and the awakening response doubles. Your cortisol doubles in that first hour of waking, and then it gently tapers down throughout the day. And as cortisol goes down, melatonin goes up. And so if we don't have that drop in melatonin, we don't have that drop in cortisol at bedtime, we're not going to have that rise in melatonin. Mm-hmm. So making sure we get the cortisol down is vitally important. That's where we can bring in things like theanine. We can bring in an Epsom salt foot bath. We can bring in ashwagandha. We can bring in like California poppy, lemon balm, valerian root, calming, relaxing, supporting theanine. We can even add in things like 5-HTP with B6. B6 is a very important cofactor, or tryptophan. B6 and 5-HTP are my favorite because they don't have an enzyme regulator to drop its conversion. The aromatic decarboxylase enzyme it governs tryptophan and does not impact 5-HTP. So you get a better bump, so to speak, in serotonin, melatonin levels. So that's very powerful too.
Yeah, and this is something
can bump it up.
This can help quick too. We're not talking a long-term thing here. We're talking a couple of weeks. If we're using the right amino acid blend, some of these calming adaptogens, we can get things under control relatively quickly. Maybe we should talk about a few stress/sleep red flags or roadblocks. I mean, alcohol is huge for sleep issues.
Yeah, it can be. So the first thing is try to keep it out of your diet during the week. And if you're going to put it in there, just make sure you eat with protein. make sure it's dry and clean, white wine, make sure it's organic or like a good clean hard alcohol. Make sure you have some protein in your stomach first, because alcohol will actually lower your blood sugar, which can actually cause cravings, which makes you eat more junky carbs. So the first thing is have some protein. Second thing is take some NAC and activated charcoal with it, just to be on the safe side. Eat some good protein, regulate your blood sugar, and then drink a mineral water later on, because alcohol inhibits ADH hormone. ADH is anti-diuretic hormone. So it inhibits your anti-P hormone. So inhibits anti-P. So two negatives equal a positive. So it promotes peeing. So alcohol promotes peeing, therefore promotes dehydration and low electrolytes. And so you're going to consume alcohol, drink a good mineral water, and then take an NAC and an activated charcoal with each drink. And that will pretty much keep you in good shape, and consume it with protein. Make sure a shrimp cocktail, some beef sliders if you're going out, like just something really simple, good protein, keep the gluten down, the carbs down. And that's a good kind of rule of thumb, where if you're going to do it, that will mitigate a lot of your damage. And just test it. Get your HRV out, whether it's your Oura Ring or your Fitbit or your Whoop, just kind of test it and see how you do with alcohol, and then do it with NAC, charcoal, and some additional hydration and minerals. You'll see a big difference.
Yeah, glutathione could help too, and you can measure that on the oat test. So if you're deficient in glutathione, you already have mold toxicity, and you're drinking alcohol, you probably need a little bit more. Some people...
Ideally, you do both. The problem with glutathione cannot cross the blood-brain barrier. NAC can. So NAC can cross the blood-brain barrier and then convert to glutathione in the brain. Glutathione cannot cross. So that's why it's good to have both, because then you have glutathione in the body, and then you can have the NAC, which crosses and then converts to glutathione in the brain.
Yeah, mine is a combo. It's the NAC plus the acetylglutathione. It works great.
Yep, it's great. Yeah, okay. I'd say 2 grams NAC, a couple hundred milligrams glutathione. You're pretty good.
Other sleep destroyers, I would say we talked about the hormone piece, gut infections, toxins, alcohol, we could throw in the toxin bucket, blue light, we covered that piece. What about blood sugar crashes? You kind of hit on the liver a little bit. So, I mean, the liver piece as well, like if you're waking up 2 to 4 a.m., we're going to try to add a little more liver support. What about the blood sugar piece? This like hypoglycemia crash in the middle of the night. What do you think about that?
Yeah, some people are like, hey, no eating before bed. I'm not going to eat 4 hours before bed. Like I'm going to stop eating at 6 or 7. Well, that may or may not be okay. If it's 10 o'clock and you haven't eaten 4 hours, how do you feel? Do you sleep okay that night? Or are you waking up? If you're waking up, have a little simple collagen smoothie, maybe a little bit of magnesium powder, maybe a little bit of fruit in there, or maybe a tablespoon of honey. So you get a little protein, a little fat, easy to digest, a small amount of carb, just to provide a little bit of blood sugar stability before bed. This is incredibly helpful if you're waking up, and then have it by your nightstand so you can have a little bit if you wake up as well. And so that's a great little option. I'll tell patients, take get a 1 milligram sublingual melatonin and just take a little sliver on it, just a couple hundred micrograms. And that can be enough if you get up, just to kind of knock you back out if you need. But I find get the blood sugar stability under control before and if you wake up. That way, if your cortisol is, so if your blood sugar drops, that can cause your cortisol to go up, because your cortisol is going to mobilize glucose. So blood sugar drops, cortisol can go up to mobilize glucose to provide that blood sugar stability, because your body is incredibly fastidious and focused on keeping blood sugar stable. So if your blood sugar drops, that cortisol goes up. So by having a little bit of blood sugar stability in that smoothie before bed, it will allow it to be a little more stable, which decreases the cortisol increase.
Yes. GABA. I've got my chewable GABAs. I sell a bunch of those. People love those. The pharma GABA, because it's quick, it's easy. Motherwort, I love too. So if you have like heart palpitations, anxiety, emotional stress keeping you up, Motherwort's one of my favorites for that. I mean, it just calms you. It lowers your blood pressure a little bit too. So if you're a little bit hypertensive and that's affecting sleep, you just tone yourself down a little bit.
Yeah, you can even do some lavender essential oil topically. You can do, a cup or 2 of Epsom salts in a nice foot basin and soak your feet for 20 minutes. That's wonderful. Your blue blocking glasses. I just get a blue light filter on my glasses. I'll wear glasses when I'm watching TV just because I don't want to strain my eyes. And then I put a blue light on there, which is super helpful, and that allows me to relax. Ashwagandha, adaptogens. Theanine's wonderful. Love theanine. There's no upper limit for it, so you can always nail that. And then just try to set boundaries with your spouse. No heady, stressful conversation before bed. Just keep it light. Keep it more about appreciation and gratitude.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, trying to get into a battle before bed's not wise.
Yeah, just say, hey, 2 hours before bed, like let's just keep it all positive and light.
Yep.
Yeah. And then 5-HTP, 100 to 400 milligrams. I'll usually spread it out at dinner time and at bedtime because sometimes it can take an hour or so to convert. So I try to do a little bit at dinner and then at least an hour or two before bed just to have that conversion happen.
Yeah.
That can
And
be super helpful.
this stuff applies to kids too. So obviously our reference ranges, our recommendations are a little different for kids, but I have had amazing success with all sorts of different tinctures in my kids if sleep is an issue. Usually if we wear them out enough and we exercise them enough during the day, they're fine. They're
Yeah.
totally okay.
You get them outside, get a little sunlight, get a little exercise, they do much better. We'll put the kids in the pool, have them, we'll roughhouse a little. Roughhousing is amazing for kids, by the way. I roughhouse 10, 15 minutes, throw them on the bed, do some old-fashioned wrestling moves, right? I give them the Razor's Edge or the Stone Cold Stunner a couple times. We'll do some Mortal Kombat moves, right? Like brings me back to my childhood, and they're just like, all right, they're good. They're ready to sleep.
Yeah. I mean, I find that for my kids, if we go bike riding or swimming, I mean, those are kind of the two we use the best. And if they swim, they're toast.
Great.
They're toast.
Oh, yeah. It's great. It's excellent. So you can do that. What's your take on melatonin in kids?
Man, I don't know. I mean, wouldn't you think they should be making enough on their own at that age?
Yeah, the pineal gland is really important kind of stimulator of puberty. So my philosophy is if you're going to do anything melatonin-wise, try to do tryptophan or 5-HTP. So I always would go to the precursor with kids because melatonin is too instrumental in puberty. And so we just tend to go more to theanine, amino acids, theanine, and magnesium. I try to keep it like that and then just get the sunlight dialed in. And then for me, it's very simple. Get the kids to bed earlier because, I look at wake times. My kids are up at 6:30 every day, right? So at 14 hours in, they're ready to go to bed. So that's key for me. And then we can always do magnesium and amino acids to get them calmed down. And the sunlight and activity is key.
I've had a lot of good success mixing things. So I've mixed the herb farm, which I like. They've got the fastest sleep. So this has been cool for our kids, man. I think you would like it.
What herbs are in there?
Because you can use it during the middle of the day too. So
California poppy's awesome. I have that in my medicine cabinet. I will pull that out.
Yep. So
I'm ever stressed before bed. That is incredibly sedating and relaxing.
Yeah. So
Lemon
here you
balm.
go.
Yep. Love it. Go ahead.
Yeah. Catnip, chamomile, lemon balm, poppy, passion flower, then a little bit of sweet orange essential oil.
Ooh, that's good. Oh, that's my medicine cabinet. That's a good one. I like that.
So I'll do that one.
Very
and then
good.
The cool thing is you can do it during the day too. So if kids are being crazy during the day and you just want them to chill out, just do a lower dose. It won't knock them out, just like 5 drops. And you could really settle yourself. I mean, same for adults too. So, I mean, these herbs can help with pain. So if you're all listening and you're like, hey, don't have a ton of issue with sleep, but maybe you've got chronic pain. Well, a lot of the same herbs that we use for sleep can help with pain too. So poppy is amazing. And you can really knock things down. So if you've got a chronic back injury, for example, and that's impairing your sleep, well, now these type of herbs, you have a 2-for-1 combo. You have the sleep benefit, but you also have the pain relief benefit. So if you're so achy or stiff, or maybe you've got sciatica or something that's impairing your sleep, well, now we could use these things as the more anti-inflammatory thing. Also, as you know, with all sorts of different viruses, if there's inflammatory cytokines in the system, that's going to impair sleep as well. So if that's activating the brain due to the inflammation, maybe ginger, boswellia, those type of anti-inflammatories, that could arguably help with sleep as well.
Yeah, I like how they have it alcohol-free with the sweet orange essential oil. Mm-hmm. I'll put that in my medicine cabinet. That's a good one for the kids if they're ever just a little bit stressed or just, on edge before bed. On edge meaning they're like overly loud and can't chill out. That's a good one. I like that.
Yeah, you'll like it. You'll like it.
That's good.
Well, we got to wrap this thing up, but
very good.
Is there anything we missed? Any other secret clinical pearl that we didn't cover?
So I'd say with a lot of female patients, low progesterone can be a big one because progesterone is a GABA chloride channel opener. So chronically low progesterone, estrogen dominance, lots of hormonal issues, PMS type of issues, estrogen dominance, breast tenderness, cramping, back pain, endometriosis, fibroids, any of those things, we may have to look at progesterone and hormone balance. Of course, we've talked about toxicity like heavy metals, pesticides, molds, getting your gut looked at because that's where you absorb all the protein that you need to break down these things to actually make your melatonin and your anti-stress hormones. And so if we don't digest these proteins well, then the building blocks won't get shuttled into the amino acids. So digestion is going to be a bottleneck for everything. And that's why when you're stressed, you make less hydrochloric acid and enzymes and bile salts. So that could be a big vector as well. And then we kind of have our spot treaters, right? Some of our favorite herbs, like we mentioned, whether it's motherwort, skullcap, lavender, California poppy, lemon balm, our amino acids like theanine and tryptophan or 5-HTP with B6. B6 is the important cofactor to help to convert that. Don't forget B6. And then I would say your theanine and magnesium, or magnesium Epsom salt foot bath, which is magnesium sulfate. Those are my kind of go-tos out of the gates for sure. Anything
Yep.
else?
No, I think you covered most of it. I mean, we could always do a part 2, part 3. There's never enough
Yeah.
info on sleep in a world that's chronically sleep deprived and staring at their screens. I mean, these teenagers that are going to bed while scrolling on TikTok, and then they put their phone down on the pillow next to them and blast themselves with their RF from the phone all night while they try to sleep. I mean, it's no surprise you see so many teenagers that are exhausted and just not motivated. And we run labs on these kids too. I've got a lot of teenagers that I've seen clinically, and all of them have issues with brain chemistry, low serotonin, low dopamine. They don't sleep well. They're not motivated for work. They're not motivated for college or for school. So this is a big problem. So I know when you and I talk about these things, it sounds like this kind of rare, like nuanced thing that we're bringing up, but this is a huge epidemic problem, and it affects your ability to drive. This affects your reaction time, your reaction speed. So you're much, much less safe on the road if you're sleep deprived. This affects your productivity in the workplace. This affects the way you handle your children as a parent and your stress tolerance if you're not sleeping well. So I really encourage you guys to prioritize this. This is one of the huge pieces and the big foundation to your health. And if you want help, we're happy to hold your hand through this process. We can run labs on you and investigate this, and we can help you get to the bottom of it. So everything we're talking about, we can quantify, we can put it on paper and show you where the issue is happening. So if you'd like to reach out and get some functional medicine help, you can reach out to Dr. J, that's justinhealth.com, or me, Evan Brand, at evanbrand.com. We work worldwide. We have international distributors. So wherever you are, whatever corner of the globe, we're happy to help facilitate this and help you get better sleep.
100%. Again, evanbrand.com, justinhealth.com. See you guys on the flip side if you need more support. Evan, thanks so much, man.
Take care.
Good chatting with you all. Take care.
You
Bye.
too. Peace.